I would like to ask the first question to Ram Niazi. What is the most important attribute to succeed as a software engineer throughout your career?
Yes, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum all. So, first of all, in order for you to be successful as a software engineer, you need to have some attributes and you need to have some habits that you need to bring in your normal daily life to be successful. So, the most important one is I think is you need to be a team player. So you need to work in a team. You can't be just writing the whole code alone. So and you can't be just lone wolf. So and the lone wolf hardly succeed. So you'll be working with smart, experienced technical guys. So you need to contribute in a team and help each other. So it can be like peer reviews and sometimes something is missing in your code that your fellow programmer can help you, and you need to be humble when you are in a project. So successful developers don't bring their egos at work. No matter how good you are, you can't be always right. So stay humble and perfect uh, and practice code in your free time as well before doing the project. So if you're taking one project, make sure that you have already experience of that and you know the ins and outs of that. And if you're working in a complex project, make sure you practice that. Yeah, that's I think very important that in your free time you should have some projects in GitHub, and you continuously contribute to that. There's a saying that a Git pull a day keeps the doctor away, and whatever
Very well.
happens in Git stays in Git. So so the
Yeah,
best
actually,
code.
actually, every day we are getting some sort of the code snippet from Git as well. So we are getting a
Absolutely.
lot of help from Git, and this is since we are using a word like open source. So we are sharing our code, and we are getting a lot of help. In addition, you are getting an opportunity to innovate, to add something with the current API. And I think it is an opportunity. You always enhance someone else's mind thought.
Oh yes, that's really important. Yeah. So I think the best thing is you should have a test project before doing any big complex project, and and you should follow the clean code principles and all the professional guidelines, and and you also need to keep an eye on the big picture as well. You don't just look at the web page or software that you are working on, but look at where the project is heading and see the roadmap so that you can effectively communicate and and you can stay curious, read blogs and stay up to date with the latest tools as much as possible. And when you're taking the project, and it's really important to pay attention to the details, and you contribute in planning and estimation sessions, and and you make sure that you create the stories in a nice way that everything is covered. In my company, we spend a lot of time in creating good stories. So we cover all the aspects of a story, a feature, or a task, so that when we have to do implementation, we don't have any questions at all. So it's really important to talk to business analysts, POs, team lead, architect, and to have everything in one story. Yes, I think they need to build up the habits, to be a successful software engineer. So whenever they have project, or and creating any temporary project for their own self. They just need to understand the scope and the problem what they are trying to achieve before coding. So you won't be coding the whole thing alone. Maybe you are coding together with another software engineers. So you need to think in that point of view, and also not just you will be coding all the time. You need to be good at documentation, uh, because you might be delivering documents to clients or your top management, but not just a lot of comments in your code, but you can have a separate document in your own files, just as a reference, that you did something this way, and you make sure that the code that you are writing is readable and maintainable, and you write the best practices, the unit tests, integration tests, TDDs, and make sure if you're making the website, then make sure it works on all the different browsers and devices. So these things you need to be good at, and also the important thing is the communication.
Yeah.
You can't just write the code forever while sitting in a corner. You have to be good at
Someone is
communication.
doing Java development, they should try and learn maybe data engineering, maybe front end development, maybe user interfaces, maybe APIs, or they could even learn how to do automated testing. They can go in that direction, or they can even learn uh, infrastructure. How do you build infrastructure? How do you containerize things? So an engineer is really supposed to be full stack these days. They're not. They cannot have just one skill, and they can't survive with just one skill anymore. It's for the companies. It's not very cost effective anymore.
Yeah, that's right. I think there are so many things a person can look at, like the Dockers, containers, Kubernetes,
Mhm.
AWS, GCP, Azure, and front end and back end technologies. So there are so many things you can explore. So it's better to have lots of tools in your toolkit instead of just one.
I would like to ask Ikram, Niazi, we used to have a waterfall approach. When we used to get a big document of requirement, we just work on after 1 month, we deliver that requirement and we say happy days. No, we just move into agility mode. We have a sprint, we have a 2 weeks, 3 week sprints, and few guys are thinking, oh, there's no documentation required because the requirements are keep changing. And what are your thoughts? Should we, as engineer, concentrate on learning how to write a document? What are the best techniques? Our documents are very important.
Yeah, I think when we are writing code, we need to put comments on top of our functions and
Mhm.
classes, so that document should be automatically created through tool. But for clients to understand what it's all about, how it hangs together, we normally write it at the end when our feature or the project is completed. Then we explain how it hangs together and what it does. But at the start, we get all the documents from client, what they really want, and then our BA and POs, they refine it, and we create good stories so that everything is covered in a story, so that we don't have to ask them again and again. For what we do is we create lots of stories, and we make a plan for the next 3 months. So what we have to do in the next 3 months, we gather their documents and create stories. So within the 3 months, we don't take anything else. We only focus on the
Hmm.
3 months delivery. So after that, then we take another 3 months tickets. So that's how we do it. So at the end of the 3 months, we we start documenting about what we delivered. I think if they follow the clean code principles, that would be
Yeah,
best. So because if they
that's
follow that, That's implemented in IT industry. And if they write simpler code, it will have less bugs.
So,
And
guys, uh, clean code principles. Ikram has used that word. Just set this one. You will get a tons of information for that.
yeah, because if you have to do one thing, maybe you can do it in 20 lines, and
Yes.
maybe you can do it in just 2 lines. The
I
simpler
think
the code, the less bugs.
I think the
I
most important thing is that like in a team of 6 to 8, not everybody will be able to read or review the code of everybody else, right? So think in this way that you have delivered a feature, you are
Mhm.
on call, you have not read the code of your colleague anytime in the past. Now you have got an issue to fix, and there is an urgency, and there is every minute there is a loss being done on the customer side, and you have to support it. Think what is the best way, what is the quickest way you could find the code, understand the code, and have the run book in place so that you can do a troubleshooting and fix. Think in this mindset, automatically then you go back and then see how you can help yourself and help your colleagues to put these commands and a clean code and a documentation and the run books, so that's how you think.
Yeah, the variables and functions all should be understandable so the peer can also understand. If you write bad code, it will be a headache for others. As there's a funny saying that what's that? There's the truth can only be found in the code. Truth can only be found in one place. That's the code. So
Yes.
code will never lie.
Yeah, the
Some people use another one. Think of the next developer as a psychopath. Who knows where you live?
exactly.
Okay,
So
guys.
Yeah, for youngsters, it's important that first you solve the problem and then you code.
Or to switch.
Yeah, that's important. Just one thing that for youngsters who are watching, if like in your university, you will learn something front end and something back end, but if you go directly into back end straight away in your first job, maybe you will have a shock like, oh, it's so complex and it's hard to manage. But for youngsters, I think if you know a little bit of front end and back end, start with front end because front end is a bit easier and you will see the results straight away on the screen, UI stuff, and then slowly and gradually you start coding backend as well and get some experience. And because the way the front end is built, there is some backend, so you get to know how the backend is working. Start doing some work in backend as well, and then and you get some experience in backend. So I think for youngsters it's important that. Main thing is the personality traits, and also the easier path is you go front end, then you go back end, and then start exploring other things.